Previously on
Coffee time.
What about Overwatch? Yeah, that's exactly what Tao are thinking right now. Getting rid of Overwatch as well also means that Tao don't get two shooting phases. Yeah, she's great. No more Overwatch. Melee armies. Boom! A lot of the Tao groups are crying out now because Overwatch for Tao. Overwatch. You're probably selling your Tao army. Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee Time. I hope you're all having a great day. It is Sunday, it is 10 AM, we're having a great time. For you it's 10 AM anyway, for me it's not. Today I am drinking Starbucks Cafe Verona Dark Roast. And it is very nice. It's roast sweet and dark cocoa. It is ground, so I made it in my cafetiere. So this is what I'm drinking today in Coffee Time, so let me know what you guys are drinking at home. And if you are drinking tea, then that's okay, as long as you are part of Small Board Gang. I hope everyone's having a good day. I kind of said in the last video that I was going to talk the Death Guard Tactics video, where I said I was going to make all videos where I sit and talk called Coffee Time, even though if they're not on a Sunday. And then I didn't release any videos this week because it's been hella warm. I've been hella busy, so I haven't had a chance to make a video. So I haven't even made a video about Custodes yet, or the Children of Bile, and I don't think I will because everyone's kind of already done it now. So I feel like I've missed the boat, but oh well, we're going to talk about what's happening in 9th edition, as we normally do, and there's been quite a bit this week, but there's not been enough to make a single video about, where it's like, oh my god, this is happening. It's kind of lots of drip feeding, which is obviously a little bit annoying when you want to make multiple videos, but here we go. So we're going to put it all into one. So sit back, grab a coffee, join Small Board Gang, and let's go into it. So the first big one that we kind of saw this week was Strategic Reserves. Kind of got a better explanation of exactly what it does, because we've always talked about Strategic Reserves, and they haven't really ever said that Strategic Reserves is this, it does this, whereas they have now, which is really good. Strategic Reserves works the same as Outflank did in 7th edition before that. Essentially, you can put units in reserve out of your army if they don't have an ability that can let them go into reserve already, and you can essentially put them into reserve so they can't get blown off the table turn 1.
Surprise, mother.
They've kind of allocated how strategic reserves work, so it's all based off power level, and depending on how many power level you use, it costs you so many command points. Power level has always been a bit of a funny one in matched play because not a lot of people use it, but I think a lot of people are forgetting that in 9th edition they said they're going to balance power the same way they balance points. So when you get an update to your points, you should get an update to your power level at the same time, which currently they don't do. They just give it a power level and then that's it, it's gone forever. If a unit gets super nerfed, then the power level will stay the same, but now they're going to be updating that. So there's like, they've given a table, so 1 to 9 power level is just 1 CP, and then it just goes up. It's for every 10 you spend another CP. This is a really cool rule. It kind of explains exactly how it works as well. So it says you can't come on turn 1, you can come on from turn 2 on your side of the board essentially, and then from turn 3 anywhere, and then they follow the normal outflanking rules that we've seen in Space Wolves, as I've kind of mentioned a few times in these type of videos, and also how other abilities where they come on from the side of the board 6 inches on but more than 9 inches away. It also says that strategic reserves are not set up on the battlefield by the end of the battle, then they are destroyed. In match play currently, if you're not on the battlefield by the end of turn 3, you are destroyed, but this doesn't say that, so it's raising a lot of questions of whether strategic reserves can stay on for longer than turn 3, so they can stay off till turn 5 or turn 6. Maybe the old reserves are going to be like that, so deep striking reserves and stuff like that might be able to stay on off the board until turn 5. Hashtag last turn drop pod meta used to be a thing where you used to bring all your drop pods on the last turn just to grab the objectives before the game end, which was pretty horrific, and I think they wanted to get rid of that, but maybe with this you might get it. But this all depends on the missions. A lot of the missions look quite progressive, so you'll want your drop pods down quite early, because the problem is when you have something that can deep strike on the last turn and you have an end of game scoring mission, then you just have people wait until the last turn and they drop everything at the end. That's a really long explanation to explain that it probably won't happen, but what it should know is that if you have an ability that already lets you deep strike, already lets you outflank, or anything that lets you set up in reserve, then this doesn't really affect you. You can use this if you want to, but you won't have to pay extra CP if you want to deep strike. If you can deep strike, you can deep strike as normal as you would now. If you don't have an ability to stay in reserve, then you have strategic reserves, which is essentially an ability for every unit that can't already do that. I think this is a really cool rule. Again, if you're playing Terminators, if you're playing teleporters or webway gates or cult ambush, you don't have to worry because it doesn't really affect you. You'll probably just follow the same rules as you do now. But the fact that you can have your units not get alpha turn 1 is really cool. I think it's gonna add a little bit more play to the game. Like, I've played on the smaller board size, hashtag SMALLBOARDGANG, I played on the smaller board size with Danny, and we found that we couldn't deep strike enough with the smaller board size. It was really a lot more difficult, but we were playing with more models. We were playing a 1750 point game on what we expect is now going to be a 2000 point game after the points changes come out. It's going to be quite interesting to see where you can actually place your models. You're probably always going to be waiting until turn 3 just so you can put them on the other side unless they're like a horrific shooting unit. But it's going to make things quite interesting and very tactical, I think, because you've always got that thing in the back of the mind where it's like, oh yeah, there's a drop pod coming, or there's, oh yeah, there's a bloodletter bomb coming. I don't know, something that can deep strike already, and you've got to prepare for that. But now anyone can put anything in reserve, but you do have to pay CP for it, so it kind of like balances out really well. You can put loads of your army in reserve, but you're going to run out of CP quite quickly. We don't know how many CP, how many power level an army is going to be on average because of points, but I imagine you're probably going to be able to put at least 50 power level away in reserve if you spent up the maximum, and it's still the same as 50% of your army has to be on the board, which I imagine it will be. I don't know. We haven't really seen that yet, I don't think. But yeah, strategic reserves, kind of cool. And then they started hiding a lot of the other updates in the faction focus, like they did with the Sisters of Battle. So in one of them, they tuned faction focus. They talked about dense cover. So dense covers kind of cause a little bit of controversy because a lot of people don't understand it, but it's a very, very long-winded way to say if you're shooting out of the cover, you're not -1. If you're shooting into the cover, you are, essentially. You have to look at the base, that's all. So dense cover essentially is not, it's going to be another terrain trait that isn't like obscuring or something like that. So obscuring, it completely blocks line of sight. So this is, I imagine it's going to be like the Manufactorum tower things. Do you know the Sector Mechanicus? There you go. It's going to be those type of things, maybe like walls, or these things applying to things like forests and dense industrial ruins where protection comes from difficulty in picking out a target rather than the shots physically being blocked out. So yeah, so this is going to be trees. It's going to be like not ruined buildings, but like the Manufactorum type stuff, the Sector Mechanicus stuff that's like quite bulky but isn't ruined. And it's probably going to be stuff that you can hide behind rather than you can actually be in, if that makes sense. So that's going to make your -1 to hit now, which is something that's come from Kill Team, and I actually really like this terrain trait. I think it's really cool. I think it works quite well. A lot of people are, again, struggling with the wording, but if you just look at the bullet points, it explains it super well. And then if you need any more information, you have the big paragraph that kind of explains what's going on. Don't blow your head off at like confusing wording. Just look at the bullet points and hope for the best. That's usually what I do. And then they started talking about morale phase in the guard faction focus. So like, yeah, do you know when you inevitably run away? This is how it's going to work. So morale tests have been buffed but also nerfed at the same time. So the way they've changed it, I think that it is worse or harder or more damaging to things like Space Marines and other like elite units, maybe even Custodes, or just general big infantry squads that aren't like 30 man. But then for 30 man squads like your Orc Boys, like your Cultists and stuff, this is actually, it's way less effective at like completely nullifying your unit. So the way it works now is if you take how many models you've lost minus your leadership and then add d6. So if I'm leadership 10 and I've lost 10 models, I'm the leadership 0, so I add d6, so whatever I roll, I will lose that many more models, so basically whatever minus you get. Whereas now is if you fail, it doesn't matter what you roll, then you lose 1 model, but then you roll a dice for every single other model in that unit, and on a 1 it flees, and if that unit's less than half strength, then on a 1 or a 2 it flees. And I think this is really cool. This is like, rather than just morale just being, oh, you've killed most of that unit, so it's going to run away unless you spend TCP, which you don't have, so it's going to run away. Now, any unit can survive, because it also says unmodified roll of a 1 is always successes. No models fleeing, which is really cool. So on a 1 out of 6 chance, that unit will always still stay alive, which I think is really cool. There's no automatic, oh, I've killed enough of that unit for it to run away, it's going to go now, which I think is a really, really cool change. And then with combat attrition, it's like when you do fail a morale, you only lose 1 model, and then it's like all the other ones are kind of like, oh, he's fleeing, so are we gonna go? Let's find out. I don't know, which I think is really cool, because in 7th edition and editions before, if you lost any models, you had to do leadership tests. So you rolled 2d6, you had to roll below your leadership. If you rolled above it, you ran away. You literally moved the models straight towards your board edge. They ran away. And obviously, like, killing models in morale for them fleeing is a lot easier and a lot cleaner to do, because you don't have to remember about doing another leadership test, so you don't have to turn them around and make them go the right way. I think this is a pretty nice change, and it's going to make morale more interesting rather than just being, it literally is all or nothing. It either kills a unit or nothing happens, which I think is cool. Now, I don't want to talk about this one because because I was so happy that Tau didn't get an Overwatch. I was so happy. Yeah, she's great. No more Overwatch, melee armies. Boom! I think the entire population of Warhammer was happy except for the Tau Empire group. This is a very, very interesting thing. So, essentially, we spoke about in one of the last videos about Overwatch, where Overwatch is now a core stratagem, so you have to spend CP to actually declare Overwatch. Not every unit gets it for free. However, Tau are getting an FAQ and errata where they can all Overwatch and they can all help each other Overwatch like they can do now. And there's a designer's note that says, you don't have to use this stratagem if everyone can Overwatch, just like you can now. And look how happy I am about this change. So in my opinion, I don't like this. I think this is bad. I think they announced, we pulled up the screenshots where they said that you're going to be able to Overwatch funny way, and then you're going to be able to Overwatch 2-for-1. And I think that's way better, giving the Tau 2-for-1 Overwatch rather than just normal Overwatch like it is now. I'm not sure. I don't know if I agree with this change. However, we don't know how many points or everything's going to go up. Maybe the points are going to be so overcosted for having this Overwatch ability. I don't know. It's very interesting. What do you guys think to this change? If you're a Tau player, I'm sure you're very happy to see it. And as a Tau player, I would be happy to see it too. But as an opponent, I'm not sure if this is the best option that they could have had for this issue. But I don't know. That's purely my opinion. That's purely what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So the other thing in this faction focus was quite big, was the fact that they mentioned that fly won't be able to shoot as they fall out of combat. So fly vehicles and fly units have always had a big advantage where if they get tagged or touched in combat, they can fly out and then shoot again. Now they can't, and that is a really, really big change. And again, I don't know if I agree with it. I'm not sure if I'm a super duper big fan of this. Fly can't fall out and shoot, because it makes fly so good. But now you're going to be able to tag anything. I mean, like, vehicles can shoot in combat now, which is fine, and monsters can as well, so a lot of it doesn't matter for them. But like, you think like flying tanks, like your repulsors, if they get stuck in combat, now they're stuck in combat, what can come out of combat and still shoot now? And it's basically ultramarines. Or maybe like the Admet robots can do that as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a very interesting one. Obviously we don't have the core rules yet, so we don't know how other things have been affected, but this is a really, really interesting change, and it might see that a lot of fly units actually come down in points, but then rebalance for 9th edition, so back up. But you might see things not go quite up as much because fly's been nerfed, but then you might see Tau go up a lot because they've got Overwatch, which is probably going to be reflected in the point. Obviously you have Desperate Breakout and stuff like that, which is basically like, make sure you screen, but if you get tagged, that unit's done. The Riptide can't shoot out of combat. It can shoot into combat, and we can't fly out and shoot with you anyway. So it's quite an interesting change. Again, I don't know, I'm starting to get a bit cynical in my old 9th edition age. And I'm starting to look at things and be like, maybe that's not a good one. Also, someone called me a shill for agreeing with some rule changes, and you can go away. But there we go. It's kind of been like a quiet week. Again, I've not really been able to do a full video about one particular topic because it kind of been drip-fed along these faction focus, which is a bit... It's annoying, but at the same time, it's really cool because I'm always checking the website and I'm always watching the daily show. The only daily shows I've not been watching is the ones that have been about Pariah, because I'm going to find that out like soon enough anyway. But yeah, it's quite an interesting change, and I'm not sure. I'm a bit like... I'm hoping it's good. I'm sure it will be good. This is just my opinion with the very... I'm like looking at a jigsaw and I'm looking like at just a few pieces spread around. I'm like, this looks crap. But obviously the half the jigsaw's missing because it's not built yet. But it's very interesting. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. How do you feel about this week's faction focus? Changes that we've seen, such as pulling out of combat and not being able to shoot you if you've got fly. The morale thing. Again, I really like the morale change. I think that's really cool. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, then do let me know, because I want to improve these videos and make them more enjoyable for everyone. So if you dislike it, then click dislike, but let me know anyway. But let me know why it was bad. Please hit subscribe if you can. We're doing super duper well. I'm really enjoying making these type of videos, and you guys seem to be enjoying them as well. So if you feel like you've enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, we have Hellstormwargaming.co.uk. There's going to be some 9th edition battle reports coming out sometime soon when we get the book, maybe, probably. And also, you can check us out on Patreon if you prefer to do it that way. But the final way you can do it, you can also support us right here on YouTube with Join. Click the Join button just there. There's three memberships. There's just a tip one, which is a guilt-free ad block. There's the next one, the Tactical Marine, where you can basically get all the emotes for the live chats when we premiere stuff or when we actually live stream. I live stream 3 times a week currently, Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's also Primaris, where you get all the content from Patreon and all the content that will be coming to Hellstormwargaming.co.uk, but you get it all right here on YouTube as well as those emotes. So totally up to you which one you want to do. So again, hope you enjoyed this video. Join Small Board Gang if you want to. Otherwise, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed your coffee, and I'll catch you next time.